Welcome back to another episode of Square State Sandlot. I'm Kyle Gilmore. As always, Bill Montoya is here with me, but we have a doozy of a treat for you. One of the good old boys, Logan Ellerbeck's with us. Super pumped to have you on, man. It's been way too long since I've talked to you.
It's been at least 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to dive into some football mostly. Obviously centered a little bit around your Panthers, but
that's just a treat for everybody. That's a treat for everyone.
Yeah, you know everyone's going to be coming for that Carolina Panthers.
Carolina content, buddy. That's where it's at.
So, no, we're excited to have you on, Logue. It's great to see you with that wonderful backdrop of the Wyoming skyline.
I tell you, it's perfect. It's like I set it up that way.
So, Logue, we have, like Kyle said, a lot of NFL to talk about, and I think that's the main sport that you tune into. Why don't you give us a little background on how you fell in love with sports, and then maybe just your teams and go from there?
Well, that's a story I've told a million times. I apologize. 1996, my mom went away for like 2 weeks for a business trip to North Carolina. Came back with a Panthers shirt and a Panthers hat. And then that same year, Rob Bollinger, the right tackle for the team, came out to our football camp. And I've been a diehard fan ever since. And due to just loving the Panthers, you got to follow the 31 other crappy teams. So,
yeah. Well, you've definitely suffered through it. Chris Winkie, I think, is your favorite player, right?
Oh, yeah. I love that man.
Oh, man. That takes me back.
I still hate him, and that was 21 years ago.
I thought maybe it'd be Delhomme or one of the long list of wonderful.
I love Delhomme. I love that crazy Cajun, man. He's one of the highlights of the team.
Do you know who I miss?
Steve Smith.
Steve Smith.
No. My favorite Panther ever was Tiki. Just
Tiki
because
Barker?
he had Tiki Biakabatuka.
Biakabatuka, yeah, my bad.
He had the best name ever.
Biakabatuka, being able to say that as like a 10-year-old is just something to be proud of.
Oh, yeah.
Wesley Walls was my favorite player back then, though. Love me some Wesley Walls.
I still remember
time traveling.
The days of Madden in your basement.
Oh, man. God,
I think we literally put 3 months into that game over the summer.
If we would have been outside playing football as much as we played Madden, like we probably would have had a shot at going pro, I think.
Nah. There was one major obstacle for me, and that was weighing 90 pounds in high school.
Yeah, that'll do it, you know. That was soaking wet too, Bill. That was soaking wet. Like, you tried playing football, it just didn't go well for you.
Yeah. Those Wyoming boys were a little bit bigger than me, so.
I was a center on our offensive line, so they weren't too big, Bill. Like, I'm only 5'9".
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it here. But I was 5'9" in, 6th grade, so.
There you go. I think I was 5 foot even.
Really glad I just kept growing through life,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where my love of the Panthers comes from and my love of football. And just as a fan of football, if you guys ask me to be on.
Yeah, and like we alluded to, we will go into the Carolina Panthers stuff because that's what we brought Logan for. But there is some other news coming out of the NFL, and we are still waiting for the Deshaun Watson news. So I'm thinking they're waiting for something positive to put that behind.
Positive. 6 games at least. There's nothing positive coming in that situation. 6 games minimum.
If it's 6 games, I'm burning it to the ground. I'll be so pissed.
I said minimum.
I know. If it's less than a season, I'm going to go into rage mode.
It's like the straight-A student in class. They're going to get away with it, though. You know it.
But he hasn't been a straight-A student.
But he's a talented NFL athlete, though. So
he hasn't been to school in over a year. I mean, come on now.
Actually, we don't know that. We haven't done the background research to see if he's attending summer classes. Let's face it, if Shaquille O'Neal can be a doctor.
I'm pretty sure the only thing he's attending is massages, and I think that's the issue.
I tell you what, as a guy with a really bad back, I was truly impressed by the amount of massages that man had in such a short amount of time. But if you're after the happy endings, and he was just getting the assistance,
Yeah.
Bill, you did not expect this to fall off the rails instantly.
No, not this quickly, at least.
Let's just hope they handle it correctly, and we'll leave it at that.
That's that energy I've told you you've been missing. Both of you are smiling right now, which we're not normally doing this early in the episode. So
this is true.
Positive energy.
Usually it takes to about the middle before we're laughing about things. So way to bring that energy. And a couple notes from around the league. Like I said, they have announced that they are going to do a NFL streaming service that's called NFL Plus. This is a major plus for fans of the NFL. Used to be stuck behind that paywall of DirecTV and the NFL Sunday Ticket, and that was extremely cost prohibitive because you had to have a DirecTV contract.
Did you see the price?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. It's awesome. It's
going to be so predatory, though. They're going to have predatory pricing in there somehow, guaranteed.
I'm sure, but even $4.99 is a start out per month. No one else is even close. Everyone else is $30-ish a month, really.
What NFL package was $160, wasn't it? Something like
that. I think it was $250.
Yeah, I mean for just straight streaming. I mean between like NHL and MLB, I'm paying $20 to $30 a month for both. That's interesting.
As much as I hate that Google owns the world, I was really pulling for Google to get that contract because it would have been cool to be able to watch NFL on YouTube. Like that just would have been cool. But NFL would probably do a good job with it. I mean, NFL Network is one of the best produced sportscasts out there. So,
yeah, no, I think it'll be well done, and the pricing, at least to start, you can't beat that. I mean, $40 for a year to watch all the regular season games, and then they do have that second tier where you get the NFL Game Pass, where you can go back and watch the games with the all 22 footage and all that. So, definitely intriguing.
I worry what the playoffs are going to look like, what the Super Bowl. They're going to have some kind of predatory system. That's just the world we live in now.
It said you can only watch the postseason games on phone or tablet, so you can't do it on your TV. So I think that's the gotcha. But I think most people have access to either your cable or they're still doing the over-the-air stuff. If you have an antenna, you can watch those. So.
CBS and Fox carries the majority of playoff games anyway, so.
This does seem like a slap in the face to Amazon, though. Like, they pay for those packages, and now they just make it available on their own streaming service.
You remember those hilarious days so long ago where people were like, we're cutting the cord, and then they had signed up for 17 different streaming services?
That's how they get you. And now you're paying more than you used to be with cable. But
basically,
so I think this is a net positive for the NFL fans. Is that how you guys take it?
Honestly, yeah, I think it'll be a good thing.
It's positive for me, and I'm going to be honest with you. That's what matters to me the most. It's going to make it easier for me to watch games. So I don't have DirecTV. I don't have NFL Sunday Ticket. I'd go to the in-laws to watch theirs. This is awesome.
Now you can watch. Now you can watch while at your in-laws on a different. You can watch a different game
on my own phone.
Yeah, upgrade all the way.
The reason this doesn't benefit me as much, and not that I really care, but the Raiders are now the local team for my area, so I pretty much get to see all their games anyway. But
yours would probably all be blacked out anyways.
No, it actually said local.
I know that's the first thing I read.
That's why I checked, because I was like, great, so I can't even watch the Raiders games on there if I'm somewhere else. But it's fine. So
$5.
Anyway,
$5.
Moving on from that news, there's just a couple of news and notes about contracts and things like that, players, injuries. Justin Ross of the Chiefs, they signed him as an undrafted free agent. A lot of people had him in their top 100 for talented wide receivers. The Chiefs were quite comfortable with his medicals and ends up needing a second surgery. So he's going to miss the whole season. I think they were kind of counting on him to help replace Tyreek Hill, and it looks like that's not going to happen. So one hit to the Chiefs is obviously a positive for my Raiders. So I like that. Not that I want to ever see anyone get injured, but it happened.
Don't lie to kick it, Bill.
Nah, I don't want to see him get hurt.
He's had a rough go, man. Even back in college, the dude just can't stay healthy. It's unfortunate, but
I think the guys that managed to go through their careers without injury are just a rarity nowadays. Like, it's a high contact sport.
Yeah. And that's
I'm glad you said that, because we're going to talk about a certain individual later today.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I figured he would come up.
We'll get to that. But
another player news. Did you guys see? Who played the guy on Con Air? Did you see?
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Nick Cage. Yeah. Did you see him show up to the Green Bay training camp? That's awesome.
That made me laugh when he dropped that bag. Made me laugh so hard.
He hammed it up. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He always does.
He's definitely a character. I love seeing him do that kind of stuff. And everyone was saying, especially Pat McAfee, because that obviously he's a regular guest on his show, but he was like, well, looks like Aaron Rodgers is going back to back to back on the MVP award.
Yep.
No, that was hilarious. And then did you guys see what the Arizona Cardinals did with Kyler Murray's contract?
Oh my God. Mandated watching film. Like, how is he not watching film already?
Yeah, I really want people to process that. So, in case you didn't know, Logan, Bill knows. I hate Kyler Murray.
He's not in your division. Why?
This just cements how much I hate Kyler Murray. You're forcing an NFL quarterback to watch film. I would just want that to sink into people. An NFL quarterback is being forced to watch film.
You wonder why.
So clearly he wasn't watching enough film.
No, or they didn't think he was.
What is going on here?
If I were him, I would just pay a friend. I would literally just bring a friend on to the old, pay him $100,000. You're watching film, because I'm not going to change anything. He's got FaZe Clan, bud. They went public this last week, and they just tanked instantly. Like, FaZe Clan.
He's terrible. I just can't stand him.
I want to dislike him because of what he did to the A's. They used a first-round draft pick on him. As a favor to him, let him play a college football season, and then he goes and gets drafted by the NFL. It's just like, hey, thanks for the money, guys. And that was it. And
the A's would have let him come on and be talented and then get rid of him anyway. Like, isn't that what they do with their talent?
But the A's would have at least, had the first 4 seasons or so of that talent before they shipped him off.
Yeah, but you'd have to put a clause in his contract for him to do batting practice.
Yeah.
Well,
good point.
And that tells me exactly what I needed to know about if he would have made it in Major League Baseball. And if he's not willing to put in the time to watch film and break down what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, he probably wouldn't have made it in Major League Baseball anyway.
Your bleeper's going to get some work, but fuck that, Bill. Like, look at how talented the kid is without watching film. The Cardinals are a team because of him. He's their franchise player, and he doesn't watch film.
But you've seen that with other players that have that extreme raw athleticism, like Mike Vick. Mike Vick said recently, if I would have watched film, I would have won a Super Bowl.
Without a doubt. And now Kyler Murray is watching film, so we should all be a little worried about what's going to come.
Watching film.
Yeah,
good
we'll
point.
see. We'll see. But the thing that makes me laugh about it is they were willing to give him, what was it, $250 million?
250, 170 guaranteed.
Knowing he wasn't watching film to begin with. So, they basically had to put a Jamarcus Russell clause into this contract. And it's going to be really interesting if
I didn't see in the contract where it said he couldn't eat McDoubles from McDonald's. I didn't see that in there.
Well, it did say he had to be tucked into bed by 9:30 p.m. on school nights. So
I can't. I just can't.
As a big fat guy, I can make fun of Jamarcus for being a big old fat guy.
Oh, God. Did you guys see him on the Pivot podcast a couple weeks ago?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Like, he pseudo took blame for not putting in the work, but then he also blamed the Raiders and, his family and everything else around him for.
Was it their fault for making him the wealthiest NFL player at the time for just getting drafted?
Log, you can attest. I hated that pick
Yeah, you did.
Everyone was saying the dude can throw 70 yards from his knees. And I was like, yeah, well, when's he going to do that in a game? And like Calvin Johnson was drafted directly behind him. And I told you, Logue, at the time, I said, I don't care if you don't have anyone to throw that guy the football. He's going to make plays.
What
but
a redemption
if you draft
story.
this quarterback and don't have anyone around him, it's not going to work well. And sure enough.
You can say that you could have a scrub throwing to Megatron, but like in all honesty, he didn't have a scrub throwing to him at any point in his career. He had Stafford the entire time. So
yeah, but when your wingspan is 14 feet,
yeah, you put me in there, I'm not going to be able to hit that.
No, yeah, I promise. A league average quarterback, Megatron would have still put up numbers because
a serviceable backup would have put up numbers with him.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like Stafford did, but
obviously Stafford's above average. But
hindsight's 20/20, buddy. We all knew LSU national championship. You got to draft the big old fatty that could throw it 70 yards. You wanted a 330-pound quarterback to start. Like
yes,
Al Davis appreciates speed and size.
He had size. I'll give him that. But anyway,
too.
What'd you say, Kyle?
I was going to say he had speed too. He left the league really quick.
Yeah. 3 seasons. Good. I think he played in 20 games or something like that. So pretty impressive.
Terrible.
I can't believe that guy can even get on podcasts. Like I don't
Well, everyone's been asking him to for years, trying to get him to come tell his side of the story, and he never would. He doesn't want to be in front of the media. He says he doesn't need it. He did it as a favor to the Pivot guys because one of them is related to him. I think it's Fred Taylor maybe is somehow related to him.
I respect something that actually. I respect him showing up on that account. But
yeah.
Johnny Manziel, I watched that dipshit. I'm just like, good God, this kid.
He was actually pretty good on Bussin' with the Boys.
Yeah, that's the one I was referring to. I was just disgusted he even got the airtime.
I liked it. I mean, he was definitely transparent and was like, I just didn't love football anymore. And I can respect that.
He never did love football. He was just a talented college kid.
No, he did. He loved it in college.
His name was Johnny Football.
Yeah. But yeah, when you get drafted, that's the tough thing for me is all these quarterbacks that get drafted high out of college. Obviously, you're going to a crap team because if they're picking that high, unless they traded for that pick, they're probably not a good team, and they just expect you to jump in and save them. And that's why I have some. That's why I have some sympathy for Jamarcus Russell because
Cincinnati was in the Super Bowl this year. Just saying.
Yes, but they also had a decent team. They just had injuries. So
they've been knocking with a decent team without a quarterback for a long time. So
I'm sorry, there's not a bad team in the NFL. There's really not.
There is.
Urban Meyer led Jaguars was.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that is a terrible team. Yeah,
there's always. Yeah,
the Browns are paying Baker Mayfield to beat them week 1, Logan.
Yes, they are, and
we'll get there. We'll get there. I can't wait to talk about that.
No, there's annually 3-4 teams that are really just awful, and that's when you hear those conversations about, well, Alabama would beat them, and that's obviously a laughable statement. But let's get to Kyle. You have some news about your highest paid safety in the league.
Yeah, I really don't think it's a big deal. He just hopped off a bike and rolled his ankle or stepped funny, whatever. But he saw no non-football injury to start the season. Like I told you off air, he's not going to be doing much in training camp anyways. I don't think it's a big deal.
Put him on the bike, get him in meetings. He's going to get as much as he would have either way.
He's a stud regardless.
Yeah, a lot of the veterans don't even get much work other than doing some conditioning and things
When I went to training camp last year, your starters, your known starters, all they did was basically just goof around for 2.5 hours. So
That's what you want out of training camp, though.
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast. But
should be team building 100%.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the Raiders, but it sounds like they're going pretty hard in their training camp, even though they can't even put pads on until tomorrow. So
I cannot wait to see what Vegas does this year. Cannot wait.
Oh, it's going to be exciting.
You're going to have to eat crow so hard on all the negative things you said about that, man.
Logan, I know you wanted to talk about Jimmy G. Real quick, today the Niners announced that they will not have him in camp. He's obviously been given permission to seek a trade.
It's the right move.
And they've said Trey Lance is their quarterback of the present and the future. So what did you have to talk about Jimmy G?
Well, I just wanted to see where you guys see him landing. I mean, he has a lot of opportunity to land. Let's face it, he's not going to Seattle. There's no way San Francisco signs off on Seattle. But the Eagles are in need of a quarterback. Pittsburgh's in need of a quarterback. Like
Eagles?
The Eagles.
Jalen Hurts.
They're all in on Hurts.
I disagree. I don't think they are. I think look at how quickly they bailed on Foles. If they think they can win more games with a more talented or essentially equally talented quarterback, I could easily see them making that trade week 3.
Yeah, but we already know Jimmy G's capabilities, and I don't think they meet.
What? 3 repeat NFC championships? Is that not what you want out of a quarterback?
Well, are you kidding me? I think you could have put – I don't even know. You could have put a league average quarterback on that team, and that's what I think Jimmy G is average.
That's the thing, though. Like, I think that's the problem with the NFL is everybody expects to be at a level rather than building to a level. Like, there's only one Aaron Rodgers. Let's face it.
Yeah.
If you can get a guy that can control the game and actually play game management, like, you can win games that way.
So let me ask you this, because we actually just talked about this here recently. In my opinion of Jimmy G is I think his future in the NFL is he could be the next Fitzpatrick. Yeah, and I don't think he has a higher ceiling than that. So I get what you're saying with Jalen Hurts, because I don't think he's the long-term answer in Philadelphia. But I don't know that Jimmy G wins them more games this season. That's my only drawback from that.
Honestly, Fitzpatrick was a very talented and underutilized.
Oh, I loved him. I loved him. Possibly
he was up in Buffalo
to ever play.
Yeah,
he was great in Buffalo. I was surprised they replaced him. But
and that's what I say. That's what's wrong with the NFL is you have an expectation to make it to the Super Bowl every year rather than building to get there. You can't just buy a team and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's not many Tom Brady's that are on the market. So I see, and that's we talked about potential landing spots for Jimmy G, and we agreed Seattle's not likely unless they blow the 49ers out of the water with the trade package, which
there's no way.
I doubt they're going to do that because that's going to help the 49ers going forward, and I doubt Jimmy G's going to help them with where their roster is at.
Neither team.
One landing spot that I really liked personally was Jimmy G as a replacement for Jared Goff in Detroit. I think that would be a fantastic fit for him and for Dan Campbell up there in Detroit.
I think Danny Campbell's all in on Goff. I think he believes in the kid. I think he'll keep him in.
I think
see how long it lasts, but I
think he probably will too. But I think Jimmy G's a clear upgrade over Jared Goff, and if he's going to hitch his wagon to Jared Goff, I think he's going to be out of the league in another year. So
I disagree.
And like I said, I'm stuck on Jimmy G being like the mentor backup now.
Jacksonville would be a good fit for that role.
Jacksonville and New York. I could see him going to either the Giants, Jets, or Jackson.
Well, Kyler Murray's got to learn how to watch film, so maybe Arizona.
Yeah,
might not be a bad idea. Who knows? See how the Browns go. They might pick him up.
I was going to say Browns might need a quarterback, although they did sign Josh Rosen. I do like that Giants fit, especially with Daniel Jones probably not going to be there after this season. So
If you can name a quarterback and I can't picture you at all, like that just tells me that your time is limited. And Daniel Jones is that guy. Like,
where did your guy Gardner Minshew end up? Was it Philly?
He was in Philly. I can't remember where he ended up. I got to look it up.
I don't think he's on a contract right now, is he?
He went somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Gardner would have been excellent for Jacksonville if they would have just given him a chance and built a team around the guy. Like, if you're winning games as a bad team in the NFL, like, why not try that for a couple years?
He's still with Philly.
Is he?
That's what I thought.
He's third on that depth chart then.
I love
Well, that's why I don't think, even if Hurts gets hurt, I think Gardner's a very capable backup. So I don't see that.
He's not even a backup, though. He would be third string on that team.
His mustache alone would get you at least 3 wins next season. I'm just saying.
I get wet for that mullet, I tell you.
I love Gardner Minshew. I absolutely love that dude.
Kid's got moxie, man. He really does.
Yeah,
he does.
Do you have the depth chart pulled up? Where's he sitting on the depth chart going into training camp?
I was just looking to see where he was still listed roster-wise.
I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah. So while Bill's pulling that up, I'm going to actually move on to another little tidbit that just broke today. Speaking of the Buccaneers and quote-unquote buying a team, granted, it's a pretty favorable contract, but Julio Jones just signed a 1-year deal with them.
No.
This is pretty interesting because with Gronk exiting as the big boy target, I'm not saying Julio's, the spry young chicken that he was when he came into the league. But if you're going to have a resurgence, it would be in this offense with Mike Evans. I mean,
they lost another big target.
It could be scarier.
They lost two huge targets. Gronk and what's his nuts that walked off the field and strip.
They just signed Kyle Rudolph.
They don't need Antonio. Yeah.
Brady needs a tight end to be successful. Like, Brady
Kyle
needs
Rudolph's a good, serviceable tight end.
He is.
He was good in Minnesota.
But that's the thing. If Brady doesn't have a tight end to manage games with, he's not going to win games like you would expect him to.
Julio Jones is, at least with the Titans last year, he was not good. I don't know if some of that was still building back from that injury. So I'm intrigued to see what he does with Brady. Brady obviously tends to bring the best out of all of his receivers. So that could be a huge signing that, under the radar, so to speak. But Kyle Rudolph, I think, is going to be huge, kind of taking over that Gronk thing. And Gronk didn't rule out coming back he's done. Later in the season. So
he's done. He's made his money. He's having fun.
We'll see if they make the playoffs. Maybe homeboy comes back.
Well, he has to be on the team by week 15 or something like that.
He ain't gonna play unless he's playing with Brady. Like, can we all acknowledge that?
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So and then back to the Eagles real quick. Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew, Reed Sinnett, and Carson Strong. So I would say Minshew's slotted in at number 2 pretty stably.
I thought they drafted a quarterback for something.
That's that Carson Strong.
Carson Strong's the rookie from Nevada. So
I think they would have him ponied up
push
number
both
2.
of them.
And I just want to take a short break and announce that Chad Pinder just took Garcia of the Houston Astros deep for a grand slam. So Chad Pinder, y'all. Chad Pinder.
When baseball was really good? When they let all them boys do a bunch of steroids and just slug homers the whole time.
Baseball is still good if they could just, quit shooting themselves in the foot with the damn PA and the association.
I haven't actually tried to watch a game since they put a shot clock on the pitcher, but I feel that would make it honestly a better viewing experience.
You said a pitch clock?
They don't follow it half the time.
I thought they did that for the All-Star game. Tried it out, and it.
I don't know. They're doing it in the minor leagues for sure. And
there it
is.
Doing okay.
Automated strike zone in the minor leagues too. So I think it's going to get better.
Automated strike zones will kill baseball.
No.
Yeah.
If it gets passed as I think it's going to, and we kind of talked about this before, I think what it's going to do is it's going to be a challenge system, kind of like what you see in tennis, where they quickly just say, I think that was a strike, and they can quickly review it. They say, yep, it was a strike.
They should just put a broomstick with the glove behind the plate then. Like, why do you need a catcher if you're not going to get...
They still got to be there to make fair and foul calls.
They're playing catch with their 4-year-old now? Is that what it is? The human element of the
All
pitch
right.
game does matter. Come on.
Back to football. Jesus, Logan, you and your old man takes.
That's not an old man take.
That is an old man take.
All the people that complain about pass interference losing them games, they're only complaining because their team lost. They're not complaining when they're on the positive receiving end of a bad call. Like, the human element of sports makes it more exciting, period.
Yeah,
that's true.
It'll still be there.
But that's Bill's point, though, is it's not removing it. You're still going to have the ump behind the plate. They're just going to be able to have some form of verifying, which they've kind of gone that way with everything in baseball.
And if
everything but government,
I'm optimistic.
If you've watched Angel Hernandez behind the plate or C.V. Buckner, you would understand the need for an automated strike system.
I would say that's the reason he's a pro, right there.
Yeah, he's a pro because
I have no idea who neither of those guys are. I want to preference that as well.
Let's just say you should be thankful that you don't know who they are. But the umpires union is so strong that they can't get rid of the guys that are worthless. So it's unfortunate, but anyway.
Tried suing them and whole 9 yards, but
I think what you do is you just let the boys start juicing again. You start cranking out 90 homers a season, and baseball's back on top, baby. Like, fixed it.
Boom.
That's one rescue plan. I think they still have in their back pocket for when they ruin it with these negotiations that they can't get done. So,
so I'm gonna get us back on track here, Bill.
Yeah, I'm gonna derail it again.
That's okay. We're keeping it. We're keeping. Oh, geez.
We're having fun. We're having fun, buddy.
Your expansion buddies. I saw a really fun take. Josh Allen, not our Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen, was quoted as saying that it feels good to be part of a professional locker room with Doug Peterson taking over in Jacksonville. I mean, obviously, everybody knows the Urban Meyer fiasco was a train wreck.
But I think your coach not flying home with his players and going to strip clubs? Like, come on now.
See, and that's a big thing, but it's so much on the field and the way he handled the team, all the above.
Horrible.
I just can't even. But I think this is a big positive. Yeah.
You tend to see that college coaches don't do well in NFL locker rooms, and that's because
ego.
You have your Sabans, Urban Meyer, they want to control every little thing about the locker room, about the player experience, and that doesn't work in an NFL locker room. Those guys have their own egos. They, they don't have to listen to what you say. Obviously, at the end of the day, the coach controls their fate in the NFL, but if they're good enough, if the coach lets them go, there's going to be 31 other teams that want to get them. So
if Doug Peterson gets an actual opportunity in Jacksonville, I think he'll be successful. He's a Super Bowl caliber coach.
What do you guys think about Trevor Lawrence with him
I don't think you can be great your entire life and not have some sense of success in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's been a number 1 draft pick since he was 11.
Yeah.
I
think
thing,
it's just gonna depend on. They need to get an identity on offense. They've never formed one since Trevor Lawrence has been there. They can say they had one, but they really never executed it. They need to get a game plan, stick to the game plan.
100%.
For a kid like Trevor Lawrence, I'd like to see them literally take we're going to start with 20 plays for the beginning of the game, and we're going to run them regardless.
Build a culture.
Well, for sure. But they consistently only put it on Trevor Lawrence. His entire experience in NFL, they've not done anything around him.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't think that's where he's fallen short. He's a talented quarterback. But if you're going out and you're playing at 70% because you don't really care, like, build a culture. Get the kid excited about football again.
I get you there, but for me, his decision-making is probably his biggest Achilles heel right now. And it's just because he's overwhelmed.
Yeah, when you're
I think Doug Peterson will take care of that, but
I hope so. He's a good coach. I'm glad he got another opportunity.
Well, and Doug Peterson,
I kind of figured he would.
he does well with quarterbacks. I mean, look at what he did with Carson Wentz and what Carson Wentz has done since then. So
Sprains.
I think he'll be a major benefit to Trevor Lawrence, and just having that structure, giving Travis Etienne back, I think it's going to be a lot better than it was last year. So
I could coattail that into Carolina talk. I'm so proud of Carolina for giving Rule time to establish his culture.
You need to
establish his playbook, like giving him weapons. Like I think Rule will be a successful Carolina coach, and it'll be this year.
Yeah, and that was actually my first question to you: is Matt Rule the guy, and do you think he'll still be here next year if they don't make it into the playoffs? Because a lot of the insiders are saying this is his last year to prove he can do it.
We have an owner that is an ultra wealthy man who wants to win yesterday, so I think his ass will be a little hot. But if he's an intelligent owner, I think you give Rule 2 years with the same quarterback and see what he can do with it. Honestly, the first 3 games last year, Carolina was on pace to be the best defense that's ever existed. They allowed 45, 90, 135 rushing yards in 3 games. Like, they were oppressive on defense, and they were slamming on offense. Some guy just can't keep his ass healthy, or his hamstrings healthy, I should say.
Yeah. CMC, that's the frustrating thing with Sam Darnold is he looked pretty decent until CMC went out, and then he looked like Sam Darnold again. So
he was serviceable until then, yeah.
My question to you is, and this is kind of maybe a last-ditch effort to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, and my idea is to move him to slot wide receiver rather than lining up at running back. Do you think that is feasible? And do you think that helps lengthen his career / keep him healthy?
No, because the kid's going to run like he's mad at the grass for as long as he plays. Like he's going to give you 100% every single play. And unfortunately, he's not the biggest guy, and halfbacks get beat up in the NFL. That's why halfbacks don't get paid quarterback money. Like, I think no matter what you do with him, he's gonna play as hard as he always plays, and you're gonna get a lot of electricity out of that. But
let me ask you this. This is the question I've been dying to ask you. So with that being said about him, how open are you as a fan to moving him?
I think he will be successful if you put him in the slot, 100%. Run some jet sweep.
I mean trading him.
Oh, getting rid of him? You can't. Nobody's going to pick up that contract. He's on my team until his contract's up. You can't move him.
I used to think what you just said was true. Contracts are ridiculous in the league nowadays. I'm just curious, regardless of money, if you could move him and get obviously comparable return, would you want to?
I would want him on my team, even if it's only for 6 games a season.
Okay.
No question. Like those 6 games are going to be electric. The kid he's a superstar. I mean, he's a stud. Unfortunately, he just can't stay. He's played 11 out of 35 games since he got his contract.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with that. Well, maybe you will. Maybe we'll get lucky. He'll stay healthy all season and we'll make a run, but we're not going to go back to back. And I'm fine with that. I would be fine with 1.
It's hard enough to do 1. There ain't no point in stress about trying to do 2.
That's the thing. Like,
I would love to see him at slot wide receiver because I feel like that's going to save him from having to do the pass pro, where he's picking up blitzers and things like that. Those are high impact hits that he's taking even when he's not touching the football. Where slot receiver, clean release, try to get him in motion, things like that. I think he could be a Hunter Renfrow type out of the slot, and obviously Hunter Renfrow is a great slot wide receiver.
He would be a Wes Welker. He's the same build. Wes Welker on the Dolphins was a serviceable wide receiver, but he wasn't winning you games.
Well, he wasn't.
Yeah, Kyle can attest.
Wes Welker was horrible. All he did was fumble.
All I'm saying is the move to slot wide receiver may not be what he wants to do.
No.
But I think it gives the team the best value. And if he's looking for another contract after this one, wide receiver is where the money's at. You're not going to get another contract like you did at running back. So
no. That's
the move makes sense for the team, makes sense for the player. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet.
I don't think he wants to do it. I think he is all right with the fact that he runs his dick off. Like he likes being a running back, and he's good at it. Like I said, I would roll the dice with it every single time. I would take the gamble every season and hope he stays healthy for a whole year, because you're gonna be Super Bowl contenders if that's the case. Yeah. Didn't help that our entire defense got injured in the same game he got injured, though. Honestly.
Yeah.
Darnold didn't have a chance. He got just pummeled with injuries around him.
Is there anyone well, I guess you guys just started training camp today, but is there anyone that rookie-wise or free agent signing that we should keep an eye out for that might be a surprise?
That big boy they took in the first round is going to be huge. Like having a big offensive lineman that wants to block for the run, because run blocking is aggressive. I mean, you got to have a different mentality than a pass blocker. I think it's going to be huge. I think, like I said, if Christian can stay healthy, that's going to be a big addition to the team. But I also think we were pretty stacked last year, but they added, I want to say it was a left linebacker. Maybe it's right. Let me look. That should fit in well on our team, because you got Burns and Gross-Matos that kind of float, because they run that, advanced crooked nose tackle 3-4. Their defense is next level. But there's really nobody that I'm keeping an eye on outside of just depth, because, Carolina got killed with injuries last year.
Yeah. And then Matt Corral, do you think he's quarterback of the future? Do you think if Baker does well, then they'll just keep him around?
Baker is going to come in with such a chip on his shoulder. He's going to blow people away. He took the Cleveland Browns to a playoff victory. Like, the kid is talented, and he wants to fucking have a city behind him, and Charlotte is the city to do it. Baker is going to blow people's minds this year, and we're not even going to pay him to do it, which is even better.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. So excited for Baker Mayfield. I think Cleveland made the worst decision they ever could have made by burning that bridge. Because OBJ got his fucking feelings hurt. That's the only reason they fucking did what they did. That was 4 in a row. I apologize for my potty mouth, but you're going to have to bleep me. But
that's okay.
Whatever.
Baker was truly a talented quarterback. Like, if you can be successful in Cleveland, you're going to be successful in Carolina. There's just no doubt.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking off air about this signing, and I think he adds the dynamic that may even help Christian McCaffrey, in that he's that threat that, hey, if I hold on to the football, they got to account for me too. So they can't just send everyone in to go get CMC. So
we have DJ Moore as well. Somebody that can successfully throw to DJ Moore no matter where he's at on the field. Yeah, that's going to open it up for Christian quite a lot.
Yep.
I agree with you. Like, I was excited about Darnold, though, so let's
I'm hoping
another
that
5-win season.
I'm hoping that DJ Moore after camp is a little more optimistic about Baker.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I did not. Is that who you're talking about?
It was Robbie. I was thinking it was DJ. Sorry.
Yep. Robbie wasn't thrilled at first.
I hope that people are a little happier, because I'm with you, Logan. I was super pumped for you guys. I love the Baker Mayfield trade. And I'm with you. I think he's going to be so chippy. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to single-handedly carry you to the playoffs, but I'm telling you, he is going to fight for you week in, week out.
But that's the thing, is he doesn't have to. It's a well-established team. We have an amazing defense, and nobody was looking at it last year because we lost Burns and we lost fucking what's his name? The rookie we had last year. I could see him in my head. He's number 8. But he's a solid shutdown corner. Like, our defensive line is set all the way across. We drafted defense 4 years in a row. Yeah. So, like, he doesn't have to carry the game. He just has to come in, not give it away. And I think he can do that.
The way that the division is stacking up, Tampa Bay is probably still going to be at the top, but I feel like the Saints are probably set to take a step back after all that salary cap they had to clear out. The Falcons are still trying to build with Arthur Smith as their quarterback or as their new coach.
They might be playing quarterback as far as he's concerned.
Marcus Mariota is their answer for now at quarterback.
What do you guys think about that? I think Marcus Mariota is another one of those quarterbacks that has a lot of talent, has a lot of drive, and could be successful in Atlanta.
I have an unpopular opinion about that era of quarterbacks because this is the same. This is the same Colin Kaepernick era of quarterbacks coming into the league.
Was that Super Bowl winning Colin Kaepernick you're referring to there?
No, it's the most gimmicky group of quarterbacks to ever enter the NFL. But to your point, though, so I guess here's my thing, though. That same team with Colin Kaepernick, everything was – when that option hit with these quarterbacks, the league didn't know what to do for about a year and a half.
Yep.
And then once they figured it out, well, his career was over, regardless of the politics and all that.
Yeah, we don't need to get into all that.
It's because he wasn't good. He just was not performing anymore. So I think Mariota is a little bit different as far as personality traits. I like him a lot more. I think he's way more of a team player. I think he will do okay, but I don't think he's the answer. I think you don't want him as your quarterback in Atlanta for more than a year or two. Personally.
And I don't think they're planning on him as a long-term answer. Obviously,
he's short-term.
Yeah.
They've openly said they're in a rebuild. So
yeah, well, and he's well into his career at this point. I think this is his 7th season or something like that. So
isn't he 32 or 31?
Yeah, he's getting up there, and he was a backup on the Raiders the last couple seasons and couldn't stay healthy. So that's the thing that scares me is they want to use him as a running option. But every time he breaks away on a run, I mean, he's getting hurt. He was hurt the entire first season he was on the Raiders, except the very end of this, I think the last 4 games or something like that. And then he came in and did a quarterback option, had the longest run of the season for us, and pulled his hamstring and missed like the next 10 weeks or something. So I don't think you can rely on him as your quarterback if that's how you're planning to use him, because he's probably going to get hurt and he's probably not going to be available. So I don't see him. He doesn't have the arm strength. He's not super accurate. So I don't think he can be a pocket passer. And like I said, if you're going to use him as a mobile quarterback, you're probably not going to have him for the length of the season. So
that's a hot take I have is I don't think there's any quarterback that has athleticism that can be a true pocket passer because they know they have that in their back pocket. Like, if you know you can run it, like, would you call Aaron Rodgers a pocket quarterback?
Technically.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he can do it. He can also scramble, but he picks his spots when to scramble. He's not falling back to that instead of going through all his progressions. So, yeah, I would say
it's not a crutch.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's an asset more than crutch 100%. I don't know.
To your point, Logan, though, you bring up a really good point. That whole pocket passer, mobile quarterback, to differentiate that in today's league is really difficult because you don't have any true pocket passers anymore outside of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean,
he only does that because he's 32 years old and he can't really scramble with a walker, you know.
I would say Derek Carr, too. I mean, he doesn't scramble as much as he should.
No, but he's got some feet on him, and I guess that's my point is there's not a quarterback coming to the league anymore that's not being looked at by the team, I guess.
I agree.
That's my point. It's going to be a package. It's going to be a part of the offense. You're not going to have that guy, you know, I mean, I'll go back to obviously my favorite ever. Dan Marino was the definition of a pocket passer, and you just don't have that anymore. You're not going to have that anymore.
I disagree. I think we'll see the league evolve back into that because the league is secular, 100%. So, like, if teams are getting smaller, it's only going to take one team to be like, okay, let's take some big motherfuckers and just run it down their throats for a whole game to shift the entire dynamic of the league. Like, we see a lot of spread option or RPO, like, teams are going to start building against that and start being successful, and we'll see the league shift in that. I hope.
I would hope so, because like I'm still the guy that loves fullbacks. Tight end is one of my favorite positions in the world. Like
Mike Allstott, I love
hope
that.
You're right. How can you not?
Well, I mean, you already have a team kind of doing that with Tennessee Titans. I mean,
right.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
He's taking the Marshawn Lynch, where he said you can either go around them or you can go through them.
Yeah.
He's taking that route. So
I don't get how that guy stays healthy, but he's got so much bulk behind his running. Like,
well, he doesn't. Last half of the season, but
I thought he only missed 3 games. I thought he only missed 3.
No,
he missed a big chunk.
Yeah, I think he missed 8 games. He came back for the last one, but the funny thing was he was still like 2nd or 3rd in the league after missing all those games for rushing totals. But
that's the hard part with shifting the NFL nowadays is health is always going to play a factor in that. And it's easy to keep a quarterback healthy that can fucking sling the rock because he's not taking the hits.
Yep.
It's true.
Especially in today's league. I mean, you touch the quarterback, you're getting a flag tossed on you. So
for sure. And that's
unfortunately.
I'm interested to see how that situation unfolds in Tennessee, because if Tannehill struggles at all this season, they've got Malik sitting there in the background. So I wonder if they make a move, because I don't think Tannehill will be brought back on any future contract. So
it might be my cynicism in my old age, but like I like players that have moxie. Like Joey Burrow, I was all about that kid wearing a fur coat and ridiculous glasses to interviews. I love that moxie. Like, no fun league needs to go away.
I hate him, but he's literally Joe Namath 2.0, and it makes me sick.
Joe Namath, but good at quarterback.
Yeah, but the big difference is he was good.
Yeah,
he didn't win the most boring Super Bowl ever played.
Oh, Joe Namath got a handout for his Hall of Fame bid. Like, I don't understand how that man's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you wanted to bring up with your Carolina Panthers before we move on to our last couple notes here?
Yeah. How about their owner just sticking it to a town in North Carolina with half a stadium built for their training camps? As a billionaire, that's just a shit thing to do. Like, when you got more money than you know what to do with, like Lex Luthor, like, you should probably like pay that town back at least. It was a headline from 6 months ago. It really doesn't matter. But I just wanted to dig at a billionaire. My brand is just digging at billionaires, so like I needed one. So I'm good. I love it.
I love it.
Okay. And with that, we'll move on to Raiders camp. I already alluded to Josh McDaniels he's definitely setting the tone at training camp.
He's pushing the boys.
They got to start a week early because they have the new head coach. They haven't done any contact drills or anything like that. So it's just been walkthroughs and going over the playbook, conditioning, all that fun stuff. But it's definitely much different according to the players this year versus last year. Guys are having to run laps if they make mistakes and things like that. There's attention to detail. Everyone is going over everyone's portion of the playbook, so it's not just grouped into wide receiver rooms, tight end rooms, running back rooms. Everyone has to know everyone's portion of the playbook. So it's just a lot more attention to detail than what Gruden did, and I think that's a good thing.
They have the team for it too. Like, they have the team for it.
And I think some of that's coming from Derek Carr getting sick of losing and, the second half slump that they always go through. Part of it's Devontae Adams just being a true leader and taking that wide receiver room and running with it. You've got Darren Waller in the tight end room. So
dude, you have to be so excited for this season.
It's gonna be good. But we did get one bad note, and that is I really don't know Denzel Good. He announced a surprise retirement yesterday. Today he posted on Twitter and basically just said, I'm not
fuck running laps. He said, fuck running laps.
He said, I'm not ruling coming back. But yeah, I think maybe camp was getting a little grindy for him. being a veteran and coming off that injury, maybe he didn't want to press it that hard. I don't know. He alluded to maybe some things going on in his personal life and said, I've got things that I got to take care of right now, and football's not going to allow me to do that. So maybe he'll come back in the middle of the season when he's in better shape and that injury's not nagging at him.
That's one of the cool things that's happened with the current media is like you hear veterans training camp is why they retire for the most part. So it's 100% possibility he'll step back in week 5, week 6.
Yep. And that's, you've seen this with the Patriots.
I was just going to say, if Eric Weddle can come in and be the captain of a defense, he can come in halfway through the season. And
Eric Weddle's a damn A-man.
Eric Weddle, by the way.
Oh, man. I remember when he got drafted.
And that's the thing that kind of scares me. Like, obviously, the culture is shifting with the Raiders and Josh McDaniels taking over. But you also saw a lot of the Patriots. They would bring in veterans to training camp, and they would retire after a day or two. So it's
I got
also
a question
not
for you, though, Bill. Are you all right with McDaniels trying to put Bill Belichick's culture in your locker room? Like, is that something that excites you?
See, and that's I don't think he is. I think it's his adaptation of it. The guys are saying they're excited to have him on, and I don't think that's just, because they want to keep their roster spot. This is guys that are doing media rounds and saying, no, Josh McDaniels is great. I love to have his attention to detail, things like that. So I am excited.
Guru, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's obviously great at what he does. He learned from his Denver experience. So he said, the first go around, I did not do personal relationships well and didn't delegate things. I tried to take control of every single little thing. And right now, I mean, he's just coaching. They've got a GM that has control of the roster, that has final say on most things football related. So right now it's just Josh McDaniels doing what he knows how to do, and that's coaching. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. I think he's the coach that we need. Obviously, I would have been fine with them bringing back Rich Bisaccia after what he did last season for us.
That's the coach you need. That's the coach you need.
Awesome.
But attention to detail is something that has been severely lacking in the Raiders locker room for quite some time. And I think some of that is trying to hold on to that mystique of the old Raiders where, we're just going to win it by bluster and beating you up. That doesn't work these days because you get penalized for doing things like that. So
you can't be poking people in the eyes after you just spit on them like Romanowski back in the day. Like
exactly. So I'm excited to see the culture shift. Obviously, if it doesn't turn into wins, I'm not going to be too thrilled. But, I think with the roster they've put together, they still have a few spots, especially that offensive line. Losing Denzel Good is going to hurt. So I think they have some things that they need to do to address before the start of the season, but I am super fired up for it.
They have the talent. They have the talent at quarterback and in his weapons to make a quick enough offense. 3-step drops, 5-step drops that can make up for some of that. But yeah, offensive line's going to kill you, and your defense has, it's like Swiss cheese.
No, defense is getting better. I think the upgrades they've made to the defensive line, particularly
Chandler Jones.
Yeah, Chandler Jones on the other end of Max Crosby, they're going to be wreaking havoc.
We argued about this going into the playoffs for 2 days straight, Bill. Like, I just disagree with you on every level. Like, there's talent on your defense.
That's fine. I'm saying it's upgraded. Defense from last year, we were still trying to get Damon Arnett on the field. And then when he got cut off the team, we were, filling in with backup cornerbacks. I like the guy they brought in, Averett from the Ravens. He played very well after Marlon Humphrey, and I can't remember who the other starting cornerback was from the Ravens that got hurt. But he essentially got thrown into that cornerback one situation and thrived. We brought in Rock Ya-Sin from the Indianapolis Colts. We've still got Nate Hobbs. We lost Casey Hayward, but we brought in Daron Harmon to help play safety. We have Trevon Merrick. He played very well as a rookie. I think he's going to do even better this upcoming season. So I think secondary is good. Defensive line is good. Linebacking core is not as great, but obviously if you're getting to the quarterback forcing pressure, it's going to put a lot less pressure on your cornerbacks and linebackers. So
if your offense is putting up 60 points a game as well, like that also
that
takes
helps
a lot
too.
of pressure off them.
A little less pressure on the D. So
I'm just saying right now, this is like my outside of my own team. This is the one pairing that I'm looking forward to the most this next season is Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. I love Max Crosby for one because he's a
stud.
Definition of a redemption story. Like I absolutely love him. But to now have so he had an amazing season last year with mediocre help across the rest of that line.
Yep.
The fact that he's going to have somebody else pulling, it's like a Cam Hayward.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a Cam Hayward to TJ Watt. I'm excited about this, and I'm excited for you because I think that was, as far as your defense goes, there's nothing that hides issues on a defense better than a strong front four because if the play never gets started.
100%, Kyle. That's a great point.
That's what 100%. He said. I mean, Chandler Jones, when he was interviewed, he said, if you're going to double me, can't double Max. If you're going to double Max, can't double me. And he said, one of us is getting to the quarterback every single play. We both have endless motors. I can't wait to see what we do as this pairing. And they've added some girth on the inside of the line, too. Last year, they tried to play with those faster defensive interior linemen, and they couldn't get any push. So adding that bulk up front, that's going to help absorb some of those double blocks. I mean, I think it's going to be a good season.
Defensive tackle is so important.
Yes.
So important.
That's why I still want to see Ndamukong Suh.
I would love that pickup.
I still want to see it.
He fits the Raider mentality more than any player.
Bill just said we're moving on from that culture, Kyle. We're moving on from that culture.
Except for on the defensive line.
You got to have the big nasties.
The only thing I have to say, Bill, and I apologize for this after giving you a compliment about your defensive lineman. The only thing that makes me sad is trying to imagine what Khalil Mack would have been like behind those two. And I'm sorry.
Getting rid of Khalil was a good move.
I'm sorry, Bill. Bill, walk out.
What did he do in Chicago? The guy sucked. Good trade.
Well, it would have been a good trade. It would have been a good trade if we did anything with those draft picks we got for him.
I'm joking. That was a terrible trade. Like, that was so dumb.
Yeah. But to my point, though, is so building your defense, though, if you were to say hit on somebody out of the draft on that second level in your linebacking core, I mean, that could be it could be something very special.
The play calling
those two guys.
Like you have a lot of talent, but how cohesive were they in the playoffs on D? You would say they were great. I would say they weren't.
No, they weren't great.
Well, if they can have a fully healthy secondary, I think it's going to change a lot of things. They were plugging and playing all last year.
But, I mean, they were one play away from forcing overtime against the eventual Super Bowl champions, or I guess follow the eventual Super Bowl participants for the AFC.
You might say they were an apple away from winning the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
I say that I'm only a Carolina fan, but because you're my best friend, I've always rooted. We're really good about that. We don't talk shit about each other's teams. Yeah, I've always rooted for the Raiders because of Bill. Bill roots for my Panthers, same reason.
Yep,
absolutely.
Oh, and heartwarming.
No, just two notes I wanted to say is every year it seems that there's these guys that break out at training camp and everyone has buzz about. This year it's Mac Hollins. He's a wide receiver that they signed from Miami, I think, and he's kind of a special teamer / wide receiver. I don't think he'll contribute a ton at the wide receiver position just because of what's in front of him. But I think he's going to be a great punt returner, and hopefully that means Hunter Renfrow doesn't have to go back there and take punts. And obviously we had no threat at kick return last year, so getting someone back there that can be electric, that would be a major addition. And then Lester Cotton, he may be part of the reason why they haven't made a move at guard yet, because he's generating a lot of buzz. He's been with the team 2 years now, on the practice squad both years. They've kind of tucked him away. A lot of hype around him, saying he's going to make the roster and possibly even push for a starting spot, plus Dylan Parham that they picked up from Memphis. So I'm excited to see how it all works out, but
I love hearing a practice player. I love hearing a practice squad guy.
Oh yeah,
making noise. That makes me happy.
Cinderella stories are awesome. That's why they exist. What's going on in Miami there, Kyle?
It's funny you should say that. You've missed a lot, Bill, or Logan. So years back, I actually got out of the NFL for a while. I took about a 3-year hiatus.
You're not rooting for porpoises anymore?
Haven't been for a long time.
It has been a long time. Then
I'll get you caught up real quick. So I'm a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and I follow the Pirates now. Bill got me into baseball finally, and my wife's entire family is Pittsburgh Steeler fans, and I go to Pittsburgh quite regularly. It's the greatest place on earth.
If you're hop to a team, that's a good one to hop to.
Well, that's where we are. Little bits changed. I'm the biggest Tomlin fanboy on the planet.
Yep.
We
always give him his props for juggling Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant. And
seriously, I don't know what the highest. I don't know what the highest honor like a country can give. I don't know what it is. Whatever the president can give, he deserves it twice.
It's the Presidential Medal of Freedom, just so you know.
There you go.
Well, there we go. He needs 2 of them.
One day.
So yeah, a little bit different from my young days.
I am so sad you don't root for a shitty team anymore. Like, that sucks.
I'm not. There's a whole lot to it, but I'm not sad at all. I absolutely have fallen in love with Pittsburgh. What really did it was my wife actually took me. I got to go to my first Penguins game actually in Pittsburgh. And it's all downhill from there. I absolutely fell in love with that city.
I almost became a Denver fan for the same reason. Me and Bill went with my mom to a Denver game. They played the Jets. I almost became a Denver fan. Live sports definitely can make a huge difference.
God. Bill would have kicked you to the curb immediately.
I hope I never hear you repeat that again.
Are you kidding me? Incomplete. You chant it every time. It's like indoctrination. I just couldn't resist.
I will say this. I have been to a lot of stadiums between hockey, baseball, basketball, football. I mean, a lot. And there's no place that I like less than Invesco Field.
Yes.
The fans are unbearable. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry to any of you out there. They're unbearable. I'm telling you, I've been to like fierce division rivals, and it's not as bad. And it's not just Denver, because I've gone to Avalanche games and people have been awesome.
Coors is a fun field.
Coors is amazing.
Yeah.
Coors Field is great.
I hate fans at Invesco. There's something there's like this invisible barrier that they walk through on their way into that stadium, and they transform instantly, and they just turn into horrible people.
They do. I was a kid. I went to a Carolina Denver game with my brother. I was a kid at the time, and they were just horrible to me.
Yep. Well, and we weren't even wearing jerseys or anything. Like, there's no way that they could know I was a Raiders fan. We went to that game.
Oh, you can just talking
about Broncos and Chargers. This is back when LaDainian Tomlinson was on the Chargers, and that's the main reason I wanted to go to that game.
That's right.
Love it.
There was this guy that was he was the end seat and wouldn't let us walk through to get to our seat. So we had to go around.
That's what I mean, man.
Just being a dick to be one. And that's what he was doing. So I can attest to that.
I have never had bad experiences outside of that stadium. I mean, you have people that are drunk or dumb, and it's just a one-off, a quick moment. But I mean, they just get ignorant, and maybe I've just been unlucky. I don't know.
No, you're not.
But it has happened numerous times.
Yeah.
So they're the worst. Not my favorite place to go to.
That's the funny thing. Like, Raiders have such a bad reputation, but like, if you talk to like other fans going into those environments, it's not nearly as hostile on them. And the Broncos country is.
Yeah. No, I think if you're an opposing fan going in, trying to get a seat in the black hole or something back in Oakland, that's on you.
Eaten alive.
Yeah, that's on you. But if you sit in the visiting, stands, you'll be just fine. But
sitting in the nosebleeds, you're going to have a good experience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the nosebleeds for Carolina. That did not matter to those fans.
Yeah. But anyway, I think last couple notes you had, Kyle, you want to take over here?
Yeah, they're pretty quick. Little NBA news.
They better be. Logan ran it 10 minutes over, Kyle.
I'm cool with it. I loved it, man. I had a good time catching up. So Detroit Pistons, I actually absolutely love this. They brought back the old teal horse unis for this next season, which probably is in my top 5 unis in the NBA. I loved those old teal unis. So anybody listening, you guys search them, check them out. I miss them. They're wonderful. I love them.
Kyle also enjoyed Larry Bird's shorts from the 70s. He wants those to come back.
Dude, they were in at the time.
I'm going to share it real quick just so people can see because these are beautiful.
I love them. I was so happy to see it.
Here we go. Popping up now. Those bad
actually, that's I thought you meant the old version of their Pistons where it was.
Yeah, no, those are pretty sick right there.
Those are beautiful.
I mean, when I think of the Pistons, this is what I think of. So I was just super pumped for them.
I don't even remember them wearing those. Those are sweet.
That was
really,
nice.
Yeah. And then my last little tidbit. It's not really anything to talk about. It's more of a precursor to probably our next podcast. But the MLB trade deadline is August 2nd, so we're getting pretty close. Bill and I should have a decent amount of things to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be some
good
movement.
Teams.
Oh yeah, but that's all I got because it's been real quiet.
Frankie Montas pitched for the A's today, so this might be his final start with the A's. So a little sad for that, but he did pitch well in line for the win. So hopefully A's can hold up and keep that for him. But anything else you wanted to talk about, Kyle or Logue, before we call it?
Thanks for the opportunity, boys. It's been a pleasure to hop on with you. And it's great to see you, Kyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have you on again later in the season. NFL, we can talk about how your Panthers are doing and whatnot. So,
it's going to be glorious, and I cannot wait.
I love it.
Thanks, guys.
I hope it's a good season for everyone.
This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this, so thank you, guys.
We'll have you back, man. It was a good time.
I'm glad I got to derail it a little bit because I'm telling you, I brought that.
Bill, me and Bill are good enough at derailing it. Don't even feel bad.
Oh, I watch. I know.
Good.
It's constantly distractions, but that's all right. Thank you for coming on, Logue. As always, we hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, share our posts when we post them. We're going to be doing those shorter videos. We've just been crazy busy with traveling. In fact, I'll be going to Taryn's funeral this weekend, so probably won't post anything this weekend. But
I got one more thing, Bill.
Okay.
Congratulations on your first child there, Kyle.
Oh, thank you. Super excited.
Yeah, sad I'll be missing that, but
that's all right, man. No biggie.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Adios.